Hey guys, my name is Peyton Waddell and I am currently a sophomore at Liberty. I am focusing on a preclinical public health degree, hopefully going to occupational therapy school when I graduate. Today I'm just going to be talking about 3 terms that you'll most likely see in the OT field and giving you a couple ways just to remember them a little easier. So let's jump right into it. So the first term I'm going to talk about is abduction, which isn't as bad as it sounds in medical terms. So abduction in the medical field actually means the process of drawing away limbs from the median axis of your body. An example of this is raising your arms up and back down to your sides. Quick location change, guys. Sorry about that. So an easy way to remember abduction is think of it as an alien abduction. Now remember, abduction means for your limbs to be drawn away from your median axis of your body and back down, like your arms leaving your sides and coming back down. So an easy way to remember that is think of your flying saucer as the sky, the body that's being abducted as your arms, and Earth, which is down here, is the median axis of your body. So when you're being abducted, you're being pulled into space away from Earth. So think of this as your arms, like I said. They're being pulled away from your body into space. So it's the same process of your limbs being pulled away from your body into the air and back down. So next time you think of abduction, think, oh, I'm being abducted into space away from Earth. So that's how I remember it. So the next term I'm going to talk about is hyperkinesia, which is the abnormal increase of a motor skill activity. So first off, let's break this word down because it has a couple parts that might help us when I show my example. So hyper means above, kines is movement, and ia is abnormal condition. So hyperkinesia is excessive movement and it's normally abnormal. So that is just a breakdown of the word, and now I'm going to show you a way to remember it a little easier. Alright guys, so right here I have an example of how I remember hyperkinesia. So when I think hyper, I think of a kid with a lot of energy, normally an abnormal amount of energy, excessive energy, one that normally runs in circles and never gets tired. And then kinetic energy is energy produced by motion. And since hyperkinesia is abnormal increase of motor function, which is motor skills, which is normally based on movement, I think this is a cool way to remember it because excessive energy plus energy and movement equals hyperkinesia because it's excessive energy of movement. So these two kind of tie in, which I thought was super cool. So next time, instead of remembering a long definition, just think, oh, hyper kid plus kinetic energy is hyperkinesia because a hyper kid has a lot of energy and kinetic energy is movement that produces energy. And just think hyperkinesia. So this is how I remember that. So the last thing I'm going to be talking about is osteoporosis, which is marked loss of bone density and increased porosity of tissue within the bones, which normally results in brittleness of the bones and fractures. So before I go into the example, guys, I'm just going to go over the prefix, the root word, and the suffix of osteoporosis. So the prefix is osteo, which means bone. That's pretty general, something you just kind of have to remember. So anytime you hear osteo, it's going to be bone related. The root word is poro, which means porous or passage. When you think of something with pores, you often think of a sponge, and sponges are squishy material. So anytime you hear the word poro, it's often known as a porous or passage-like substance. And then the suffix is osis, which means condition. And that can be a good or bad condition. So osteoporosis means a condition in which bone has a squishy or passage-like texture. So going into my next example, I have this little guy right here who's suffering from osteoporosis. As you can see, his bone is very brittle, which led to a crack within his middle bone area. So when you think of osteoporosis, again, you're thinking about bones, the porous substance within the bones and the condition in which the bone is in. So a funny way that I remember this is, oh sis, my knees are squishy. I know it's dumb, but I think it's an easy way to remember it, because when you think, oh sis, like that's the suffix just spelled out. And then my knees, which are your bones, that gives away the osteo part. And then are squishy, that reminds you of the porous substance within the bone cavity, that reminds you of the condition which the bone is in. And osteoporosis overall means the condition of the bone going into a porous substance due to the density being lost in the bone. So I just think that's a cool way to remember it, because you think, oh sis, my knees are squishy. That means my bones are having some squishiness in them, and that means that something's wrong. So that's just an easy way to remember that. So I hope these ways helped you guys remember these 3 medical terms a little bit easier. They definitely helped me out. I also encourage you guys to find easy ways to remember these things, because it makes studying a whole lot easier. Hope you guys enjoyed this video.